All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope you don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 92 of the KissFAQ podcast. I'm your host today, Julian Gill, admin on the FAQ message board. Joining me is Lonnie, St. Louis Kiss.
Hello.
Andy, welcome back, sir.
Go Bruins, man. Hockey today. Woohoo, here we go.
And Michael, welcome back, sir.
Hey, everyone.
And before we get into today's topic, first I'd like to hit, one part of today's topic is going to be Bill Aucoin. There is a petition that's starting to circulate that's backed by his former partner, Roman, to get Bill into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know, now we've got Kiss in there and everyone's happy. It's about time that a manager of Bill's stature is recognized for his contributions to, popular culture, not least that he managed Kiss, worked with Billy Squier, Billy Idol, and several other bands later on in his career as well. But when you're talking about Kiss and Billy Idol, those are two pretty big names in popular culture, especially Kiss. But more than that, his history with Direction Plus and a lot of the work he was doing very early on for merging television, commercials, and video and bands. Obviously he had his show, which I can't remember the name off the top of my head. That's how well prepared I am. He was very much a monstrous talent who brought an awful lot to the industry. And I was actually looking up some stuff on him the other day, and I found a newspaper article from like 1956 or something stupid in terms of its age, where he had broadcast from his basement with a homemade transmitter or something. And I think he was Boston area, somewhere in Massachusetts. I'd have to, fact check that. But the FCC and the federal agencies had been interested. He's like, well, it only went for 200 feet and we won't be broadcasting again. So, Bill Aucoin into the Hall of Fame is just like a given. When you think of the great managers, you're thinking of Elvis's manager, you're thinking, Beatles manager, and no one else really, Peter Grant maybe for Led Zeppelin, and Bill Aucoin being the big ones. So there's a petition at iPetitions.com, Bill Aucoin Hall of Fame, and we'll put up a link for that. It's just one of those very cool things. Andy, you had mentioned something to me earlier, so hop in and tell everyone what you were telling me.
I just found, as close to Michael and I, and we met down at the convention, and Roman was one of the guests. I talked to Roman, and Roman, he agreed to come to the what we call the gathering at the Holiday Inn, and he's going to bring him and some of his workers or whoever he has, some of his help, and he's going to bring down the computers or stuff, and going to have people sign the petition to get Bill Aucoin in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's very passionate about it. He really wants this to happen, and I think everybody should sign this. He was at the Expo, and I wish more people had signed it. I don't think as many people signed it that should have been. They were at the Expo, and that's one of my, I would call ugly things of the Expo, is that I think more people should have stopped by and signed to get Bill in. So like I said, Roman's going to be down at the Holiday Inn on November 3rd there with us, and so if you're around and you're in that area, please come by, sign up. He deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If Kiss got in there, he should get in there.
Yeah, that's righteous. So, totally agree on that. But we'll put the link up, and if you're going on the cruise, and Andy sees you, he's going to grab you and make you sign. He will not let you go until you have signed it, because, as important as it was to get Kiss into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's also important to recognize those others, and it's Bill. So without him, we wouldn't be sitting here doing podcasts about the band. So let's get into today's topic, and that is the New York Expo. Was it in New York or was it in New Jersey? So
New Jersey.
Okay. Okay, the New Jersey Expo, wherever. You both went. So, Michael, why don't you give us an overview of your adventures in New Jersey?
Sure. So this is only my second Kiss Expo ever. I went to the one in 2014, the New Jersey Expo, and getting there was hellacious because the weather was pretty rough. Like, rain was just coming down. The streets, like, highways were flooded. I was like, I hope I don't die on my way to the Expo. But I got there. And I got there early, so I did a VIP ticket at this time, just so I could get in early, meet Eric early, meet Bruce early, and just kind of get settled, kind of get the big things out of the way. And I have to say, I mean, overall it was a fantastic expo, much better than the last one. I think it's because they had better, more high-profile guests. They also had more guests. You had 2 Kiss podcasts there. The Kiss Room was live for over 3 hours. 3 Sides of the Coin was there recording video messages of people just congratulating them on 200 episodes. So I think it was just a great opportunity for people not only to meet all these terrific guests, sign the petition for Bill and do all those things, but also a time for people to, either reconnect with people that they've met before at other Kiss-related events, or people that perhaps they've never met before but are connected with online. So there were multiple people who came up to me to introduce themselves, who I'm friends with, or maybe we met once in the past. So I don't know about Andy, but I had a lot of great conversations with new people as well as those that I know. So for me, that was the best part. It was just having all these great shared experiences with people.
Now, did you go platinum or double platinum to get in early?
I'm a sucker. I went for the double platinum because I was like, I love that album, and it's double platinum, and sure, why not? So I went for that.
And they love you.
Yeah. Now, I got to say, one of my complaints is that in 2014, they gave you a special, laminate and lanyard, so, it felt like it was, a backstage pass kind of deal. This time, they didn't invest in that. They just gave you, a generic bracelet thing that's, made of, paper. So it's kind of disappointing because we're Kiss fans, right? We like the laminates and stuff. So I guess they were so busy focusing on everything else that they just didn't get, take the time to create those laminates. But I feel like, well, hell, if you're paying almost $20 more to get in, give me a damn laminate. You know what I mean? So I felt like that was kind of a missed opportunity there. But, I got in earlier. I was able to. And later in the day, Eric's line was insane. So I am glad that I got in earlier just because, people were probably waiting in line for well over an hour just to meet him because the line was so long, and he wasn't rushing people. So
no, he's a talker.
Yeah.
Now, Andy, you went as well. Did you go double platinum, or did you wait in line with the rabble?
Would you believe it or not? I went with the cheap ticket.
Good for you.
Well,
power to the people.
Well, the thing is that, I live in Mass, and that's the drive from Mass to New Jersey is about at least 4 hours. That's if you don't get the traffic going through New York City. So, and really, we were just going to drive down the day of the expo and then drive home that night. And like I said, I hadn't been feeling well. Actually, I think today I'm finally getting over that stupid cold because actually it still hit me down in New Jersey. I actually left a little bit early. I left about 6:30 that night to head home because I was the driver. My mother's would be scared to death, and my girlfriend not too thrilled about driving to New York City. If you've never been that way, it can be really crazy. But anyways, what I usually do is I usually go down the day of the convention, sleep overnight, and then go home the next day.
Right.
Well, this year, as soon as they mentioned Expo, man, I went right on to try to get a room. Impossible, gone. They were gone. So I don't know if. From understanding, there was a lot of college football games in the area, so I think a lot of those people had taken up the spot. And, they probably, got the hotel at the last minute, too, to put on the expo. And, so that was it. So anyways, we started hunting around for a hotel, and we finally found one probably 4 miles away. But it ended up working out perfect. So we ended up going down Saturday and hanging out on Saturday night. And there was supposed to be a party inside the bar area. And there's probably 20, 25 people. And my first ugly thing, is that Eric Singer was down there early. He happened to come in early, and he strolled in the bar. He got about 10 feet in the bar. Now you're talking you're probably talking like 20 people there, 25 people there, and some dingaling yells out, "Hey, Eric Singer!" So as soon as Eric heard that, he like looked, turned around and walked back out. It's like, come on, serious people, give them a break. Let them come in, hang out, and maybe they'll just start, hanging out with us. Maybe they'll have a beer. Maybe they'll just come over and have a nice conversation with everybody. It's the same thing with the cruise. You're just gonna hound them to death, and they just turn around and walk away. So that's my one ugly thing about the expo, and that didn't even start the expo. So, and also I've been to a lot of expos. I missed 2 in my lifetime from New England all the way down to New Jersey. It was the very first New England one when there was no computers and everything, and that's the one that Vinny showed up, and I could kick myself for not even knowing that one. And I actually missed the Ace one because there was a huge storm up here in the north on this side, so I could never get down there. But I've been to all the rest of them in the area, and I have to agree with Michael. This one was better than the 2014. The atmosphere seemed better. People were like there, and like you said, you met a lot of people, and a lot of people from the KISS cruise, man, in the areas showed up. So it was kind of cool to have some of these conversations with everybody. And like I said, we bought the cheap tickets because we didn't really think we were going to get down there. So we waited until 11:30 to get in. But if you saw the map, when you walked in to the right, you went to go to where all the merchandise was, and they had 2 rooms. There's one big, huge room with the stage where the people would talk, and then they had a little bit smaller room, a little bit more to the right. But when you walked in, to the left was down the hall, was a hall, and all the people lined up. So what they're like, it was another room, and they put all the stars in. So by the time I got in, I started poking around the merchandise thing. Well, I had heard that there were other merchandise stuff inside where the guest rooms were, but there's people lined up, and Michael's right. They were lined up for hours, not even hour. I'm talking hours. When it was 9 o'clock in the morning, that thing was lined up from all morning to all afternoon into basically the evening till the guys wanted to take a break or whatever they had to do or do the Q&A. But I didn't know that you could get into that room even if you didn't want to have anything signed by Eric Singer. You could actually slide by those people and get in that room. But I didn't know that for like an hour because nobody said nothing. And we start walking by people in the line. You know how that is. You get the looks. Like, what are you doing cutting me? They don't say nothing, but you get the dirty looks, But then finally when you get in the other room, you're like, wow, everybody's here. All the extra guests are here and everything else. And you could go up to all the extra guests and talk to them and this and that. And they had Bruce like way in the corner, and basically what it is when you first walked in, it was like a huge line, and then they used tables basically to like a corral, like a Disney corral to get to Eric because the lines were like, I'm talking hours. It was a long time if you wanted to wait. So I'm like, I'm gonna wait a while. The lines just like never went down, So you had to do that, but then they had Bruce way in the corner. So you had to try to find where the end of Bruce's line started so you could get lines so you wouldn't cut people. You just didn't even know. I mean, everybody was fine, though. I never had any problem with anybody. Nobody said, get out of my way, this is my thing, this is whatever.
Did you get autographs?
Yes, I did. I sucked it up, and I actually bought a couple things. I actually bought the Cycle, because I don't have them, because they just came out of the Cycle Circus album. I bought the live, whatever you want to call it, the supposedly the Live 4 of the Millennium Show, and I bought Carnival of Souls. So I sucked it up. I mean I've had signatures from them left and right because I've been to so many expos. But I figured I'll get the Carnival of Souls and have Bruce sign it and have Eric sign it. So Bruce was I gotta hand it to you, man. Actually, Bruce and Eric have been to a lot of conventions, but I think Bruce has probably been to more. And Bruce has always been top notch. He stood up the whole time, talked to you. People were even taking pictures. I mean, it was $10 an autograph from him. It was $20 for Eric's. And Bruce would talk.
So I didn't know that. So I didn't know that the autographs were on top of, your admission into the KISS Expo.
It's KISS.
No wonder you had to go into a separate room for that. I mean,
it's KISS.
Yeah. And they had separate prices for photos. I don't know the photos because I didn't get the photos because I got a ton of photos already. So, but I said, well, I get the Carnival of Souls. I'll do this. It's kind of different, And Bruce was very nice, and he talked. And it's kind of funny. I asked Bruce, I'm like, man, it's a really I don't know. And a lot of people, KISS fans, the Carnival of Souls. I actually love the album. I think Gene got back into his I'm the Demon thing kind of brought, that kind of thing back, but I like the album. So anyways, I was talking to Bruce for half a second, and Bruce goes, man, I wish they take the make. I go, hey, would you guys, if they ever took the stuff off, would you guys, see if you get back together and, do like a Carnival Soul / Revenge thing, even if it was in like a small kind of a theater kind of thing, kind of make it dark and, you could raise the ticket prices, that'd be kind of, I think a lot of us would love that, And Bruce has, he says, yeah, he goes, man, I wish they'd take off the makeup. Maybe we could try it at some point. So, you can never say never.
Yeah. Michael, how long did you wait in line to get your autographs? And what did you get autographed?
Yeah, so I'll fill you in. I can also tell you about the prices for photos, too, because I did photos. So the way they worked it with the ticketing for Eric was you basically went to this table outside of the room where everyone was, and you bought, like, tickets, like little, like raffle tickets. And you would get, like, a green ticket for a photo, and then you would get, I don't know, red or whatever, white tickets for autographs. So basically you just said, okay, I want X number of autographs and I want X number of photos, and they give you that amount of tickets. So you get up there and you give it to them, to whoever his handler is. I actually decided to not get one thing autographed that I originally wanted to get autographed. Originally I was thinking of having him autograph the deluxe version of the Kiss Rocks Vegas book, but I thought, you know what, I'll just wait till I meet all of them again, hopefully at once, and just have them all sign it at once versus getting one person to sign it and hoping that I get the other three. But what I did have him sign was I brought the hardback book of the box set. So from like that leather case one that was hardback, and I figured that's more practical to have everyone sign like the translucent page of that than like History, because History is a bitch to carry around. So I just figured this makes more sense, and it's it's about the band's history, so it makes sense for all of them to sign it. So I got both Bruce and Eric to sign that. I also got Eric to sign drumsticks I bought on Kiss Cruise 4 a couple years ago because I bought the autographed drum head, so I figured I would get the drum head framed and have the drumsticks right under it, both autographed, and that would look pretty cool. And then my friend Chuck, who I'm going to be on the boat with, he sent me a photo he wanted Eric to sign because he has a new Kiss pinball machine. And in the bottom of the pinball machine under the glass, he has like photos of all the guys. And he got one autographed by Ace, he got one autographed by Gene, and he had a photo of Tommy playing guitar with Eric in the background, and Tommy autographed that. And he said, could you have Eric autograph in this corner? I said, sure. So I took care of that for him, too. So I got those are the autographs. But the thing that's funny is when I lined up, I got in line. It took a little while. Eric was there, but he hadn't eaten yet. And they brought him like a breakfast burrito, and he started to eat. And I'm like, all right, well, it's going to be a little while, if he's just starting to eat. He ate half the burrito, and then he walked over to my direction, and he said to everyone, who wants the other half of my burrito? Like, he just was full, I guess. And the guy next to me, like, said, I'll take it. And, I guess I would have taken it, but I didn't want to get, like, shit on my items before he's about to autograph me, you know what I mean? So the guy next to me took it, and he, like, downed it, like, in just a few seconds. And I'm like, how cool is that? Who can say that they had, like, breakfast with Eric Singer? What would have been ridiculous is if he kept it and asked Eric to autograph it.
I would have thought the guy would have wrapped it up.
Saved it. Put it in the freezer.
Yeah, it could have been up on eBay with Gene Simmons' gum.
Yeah, thankfully he did not do that. But it was probably I probably waited maybe half an hour. It really was not that long. And once I got up there, I asked one of his handlers, could I leave my backpack with you, my coat, my umbrella, all that stuff, because I just didn't want it in the photo. And, went up to Eric, and I was wearing one of these Rage On shirts. Actually, I was wearing a Pot of Thunder t-shirt, and over top of it, I was wearing a Rage On hoodie. And every time he sees this Rage On stuff, he's like, man, that's really cool. Where'd you get that? And I told him, Rage On. I guess he forgot from the meet and greet. And he's like, oh, did you design that? It's the one with all the discography on. It's like a collage of all the album covers and the makeup albums, including like Sonic Boom and Monster. I said, no, I didn't design it. He's like, oh, it's really cool. And Keith was there, LaRue, taking photos. He's like, oh, you should just take credit for it, Michael. Just say you designed it. I said, okay. And I had Eric sign my stuff. We took a photo. And then I went over to Bruce, and no one was online for Bruce yet because I think everyone just wanted to meet Eric first. That way.
Poor Bruce.
So I kind of felt bad for Bruce. I'm like, well, he's a big deal too. So then I went over to Bruce, told him, hey, Bruce, because I just interviewed him a couple days ago, last Friday, which I still have to transcribe that, but he was great. And one thing Bruce told me ahead of time when I talked to him on Friday was that there was going to be no live music at this event. Because I asked him, well, you and Eric like jam or anything like that? And he said, no. He's like, they're not even going to be a tribute band because this venue can't, there's some sort of weird rule that they can't have live music, which is kind of weird for a festival or a convention built around music. But, unfortunately, it's the way it was. But it really didn't matter because there was so much else going on that it didn't really take away from anything. But I barely waited for Bruce. Like, maybe it was just a couple minutes. And then after I met those two, I kind of took a breather, gathered myself, put my stuff in the car, and just kind of, I had a moment to kind of exhale and relax and figure out, okay, who else do I want to meet? What else do I want to do? And it was almost like the big stuff was out of the way and I could kind of just take a breather. Because I'm sure for any of you who've done this before, a convention or meet and greet, you're kind of anxious leading up to it. And then once you get past certain points, you can actually kind of take a minute to soak it all up and just kind of enjoy the moment.
That's nice. That's really cool. And that was one of the things I found that was really odd. And I'm sure there's a reason for it, that there wasn't going to be any live music of any description, no jamming. And that's always been something that I enjoyed a lot at the indie expos, with ESP and Union, I think were the two for the 2 years that I went. But there must either be permitting or, union or some reason why you're not able to do it. I don't think it's the end of the world. Were they playing live music, in the background, Kiss tunes and all that? So that didn't affect that side of things.
Yeah, there was always Kiss music playing in the background, and during the Q&A, there are Q&As throughout the day. It was probably every hour on the hour after, I think, 12 o'clock. So there was always, something going on. You could either be listening to music or walk up and listen to someone do their Q&A, or you're busy talking to someone. So, it definitely felt lively. But, had it been a venue that could accommodate a tribute band or Eric and Bruce jamming, that would have been kind of icing on the cake. But, hey, if they had to pick this venue because it was easier for Bruce, because he has family in the area or something like that, well, then I'm okay with that because we got to meet Bruce. So
yeah, and there's economic considerations to always take into account. The bottom line of how much it costs to put on these things, whether, regardless of, signing for photos and all that, you still got to pay people to get there. You got a ton of overhead. So,
and one other thing, Bruce, for photos. Basically, all I paid was $10, and he signed my thing and took a photo. So I think with him, it's just if you get an autograph, photos included. So he was super affordable, which is cool.
Yeah, I think you need special permits and some other probably security and stuff like that if you're going to have a band, because now it's just not a convention. Now it's believe it or not, it's a mini concert. So you have to have all that extra stuff, and I would imagine that's got to cost. That's got to cost some serious coin on top of what all this they have, because this is probably one of the expos that had the most guests they've ever had. And I don't know if the stars all lined up for them this year or what, but that's a lot. You having Bruce and Eric the same time there, and then you had 4 other another major guest plus a couple like you said podcasts there, which Julian, you should get there at one of these.
I was going to go to this one, and then I found out that there would be other people, and I said, "Well, if it's not about me, I'm not interested." No, I had
for you, Julian. I
had way too much on last weekend, and whenever it comes to Kiss, family comes first. So I would love for Indy to be back at something that works with my schedule, because that's the one, I kind of feel like I'm cheating if I don't go back to a Keith Expo, because, those were the only ones I've been to have been, Keith's. So
Keith's there. You could have said, you could have seen Keith. So this, even though it wasn't official.
Hey, were people getting pictures with Keith?
Yeah, I'd never got a photo with Keith. So I was like, I gotta get
for Eric.
Bad.
No, that's all good. But let's get into some of these guests, and I'm reading these off the website, and just give me your impressions of if you recall anything about them, and if you don't, we'll just pass over to the other guys. I'll start with you, Andy, because Dennis Willick. obviously designed every Kiss album pretty much between 74 and Crazy Nights, I believe, was the last one. So, how was his talk and all that?
This is one of the things that was my ugly thing, is that nothing wrong with him. I mean, I've seen him. I had met him before because he was at an expo a couple of years ago, or actually about 5 years ago, I think now 5 or 6 years ago. Is that this is one of my ugly things about the convention, is that, like I said, the merchandise is on the right hand side. I mean, you have to go way down the hall into another. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Michael would understand it more better. But like I said, all the other people, all the the guests were in that right hand side, right? There's no intercom between the two. So if you're in line to meet Eric or Bruce or talking to somebody else, and some of the other guests disappear, you don't know if they're going to the bathroom or they're getting something to eat or they're just taking a break from everybody. But some of the Q&As were going on, and some of us were in the other room and had no clue. There was no announcement. There's no kind of speaker thing. So that was like one of my kind of ugly things. I like, damn, I missed that. Now I'm going to have to go on YouTube and, somebody records on YouTube so I can go back and look at it. And I was there and I didn't get to see it live, And that's a killer.
That's an awesome point to raise. I mean, I've often considered trying to perhaps do a California Kiss Expo, and that's something I'll definitely keep in mind if that ever goes anywhere. But hey, you don't want to miss out on anything when you're there, and it's so easy to. So really good point.
So it had nothing to do with like I said, I missed a bunch of things because a bunch of people talking because we were in the other room getting other signatures, or because we waited a little bit longer. Hopefully the lines would go down, and plus we were talking to say Lydia or Roman or three side in Matt Porter's thing. So you miss things because there was no intercom. There might be somebody basically, and the only reason why I found out. Kind of when Bruce and Eric were going to start talking is that it started going by word of mouth. Right. People started the word of mouth. It said all about 3 o'clock, right, or something like that, I think, or 5. I'm sorry, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock Bruce is going to come on, and after that, Eric's going to come on. And they're going to try to get them together, but it was all word of mouth. So you really didn't have a I don't want to say schedule. You can't. You got to kind of go with the flow, but something to kind of. Say, oh, these guys might come on at 3, these people might come on at 4, something to kind of warn people. Because, like you said, you don't want to miss it. I mean, what am I just want to do the ugly things out of the way first. My other ugly thing is the hotel itself, like the place we eat, that grill or whatever had. That place was awful, terrible. I'm serious. People are waiting for hours to get food. Now imagine you're going in there and you want to get something. I'm talking like a sandwich. People are waiting for like hours. I'm serious. I left. My mother and my girlfriend went in there to get sandwiches for themselves, and I said, okay, I'm going to stand in the line for Eric now while you guys get the sandwiches. And oh no, over an hour and a half later, I go back in there and they're still sitting there with nothing but a soda. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And because the same thing. We don't want to miss any guest speaking or. You never know at any of these expos who might just stroll in the door. Because, back in the day, Sebastian Bach walked in one year, a guy from, Anthrax, Megadeth. I mean, sometimes these people hear about it and they just stroll right in. They want to check it out.
I find this very surprising, I must say. When KISS does have a product line of lunch boxes with thermoses, that lunch and food supplies would ever be a challenge for the KISS Army. I think you people just aren't using what you've been given by KISS properly. So
use your resources.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'd have to buy 2 lunch boxes, 2 thermoses. And
I can't use it. It's mint in box. You gotta devalue it.
I don't want the rust inside the thermos.
So Michael, let's get some of your takes on this first batch of guests. I mean, it was Dennis, it was Ken Kelly, and Robert Conti. I love Robert. He is awesome. Very entertaining guy. I got a great story on him for when I was living back in Scotland, and I think I faxed him something about the remaster liner notes, and he called me because it came up with my father's Professor Gill, his fax machine. So he thought he was talking to someone who actually knew what he was talking about and got a hold of me. So that was hilarious. But he's a really cool guy, and obviously did a good job on the liner notes. So Michael, what's your take on those first batch of guests?
Well, I have to say the only reason why I knew who was talking when is because they put it on their website, but they don't put everything that's on their website on Facebook. And they need to understand that people use social media more for news than anything, right? So everything that's on your website should always be on your social media. That way you're not requiring people to go somewhere to find information that should be accessible everywhere. So anyway, I knew who was speaking when only because I thought, let me go to their website. But I went and I saw Dennis speak. It was basically Dennis, Rob, and Ken together. And I was interested. I mean, I'd met Ken a couple times, and, so I kind of knew, obviously, a lot about him, and I'd interviewed him at one point. But Dennis and Rob, I really didn't know much about them. And it was interesting hearing how Dennis worked with Ken and how Dennis had a certain vision for a certain Kiss, album cover, and he, knew that a kind of style that he wanted, and he went to like the comic book store and he saw like Ken's comic, and he's like, I want this guy, and so it was just neat to see how they collaborated. So that was interesting to hear. And also Rob Conti, I only knew him because when I got into Kiss, it was around the reunion, and I remember opening those CDs and seeing his name at the bottom, and I'm like, who is this guy? And I looked him up online, and that really didn't help. Because I couldn't really find a good explanation. And so to hear him explain it was much more useful than what I found online. And it was pretty cool. I mean, hearing all three of them speak. And I found Dennis really interesting, too, because I used to work for advertising agencies for about 10 years. So, and I also just started watching Mad Men, so I got advertising on the mind. But all three of them were great. And I reminded Ken that he tried to convince me to buy a painting of his for like $2,000, and I was telling him, I was like, I don't think my fiance would like that, and he's like, look at this one, he's whipped. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to, but if I buy it, then I won't be getting married. So it's that painting, the one where it's like it's the white background, and it's like the current lineup, I guess painted or drawn on there. And he said that he did it for the Lost Cities tour. Which wasn't the reunion Lost Cities. It was like some other tour in the 2000s. And yeah, I think it's kind of cool. What's that?
2011 they did a Lost Cities tour. Maybe that's it.
That's probably what it was for. And I guess what attracted me to it was the current lineup, and it'd be kind of cool to have them all autograph it. And also, it's original, right? It's not a print.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was cool to have those three there because, all of them were kind of consultants in a way, right? That they provided Kiss with certain services, whether it was their knowledge of the band, like Rob, or whether it was like advertising and branding and things like that. So I thought it was really cool hearing all three of them speak and meeting all of them. All of them were really nice. So I like them. I thought they were great additions.
Lonnie, have any of those ever been to the expos that you've been to?
No, I've gone to the Indie Expo almost religiously for years. I missed this last year, and I missed a year right before I got married because you know how it goes. But just in case someone's listening. But no, I've never met them at any of the expos. I usually go to Indie and it's your typical lineup with Eric or Bruce, and Tommy's been to a few of them, and Paul was I went to one when Paul was there right after his book came out, and that one was, obviously Paul Stanley's there by far. Obviously, it's the greatest one I've ever been to, obviously. So, and Karabi's been at a few of them I've been at. When Bruce
shit,
Karabi's just there like hanging out. You know what I mean? I
can't tell my stories from those.
No. And he'll hang out with you after the expo too. So, But no, that none of those type of guests have ever been there. I think they've had some authors in that at Indy, some of the lesser known Kiss books, but nobody like that before. So, and like Lydia, I think Lydia Chris was there one year though too, which is cool too. That book's obviously, I'm sure you guys all have that. It's fantastic. So.
Still fantastic. I'm just surprised that they don't give out like a little flyer at the beginning. Here's your schedule. Like
give out an itinerary.
That'd be helpful. Oh, and Rob said that he's working on autobiography.
Yeah,
At the time at Kiss.
So I've heard.
That's what they gave all like at the beginning when you went in you wanted to to buy stuff. That's what they gave, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, at least it says I was there the date instead of actually having a ticket. Because like Michael said, back in the day they used to give you like these fancy tickets and everything
else. And
Yeah, I agree with what you said about the lanyards, or was it Michael who said about the double platinum lanyards? Those are cool, and also
Keith typically does that for Indiana.
Yeah.
And they're really cool. They're good collectible,
And of course, one of the things they were handing out at the Norwegian was it, or the Swedish one, the I was there badge. So it's always cool when you get these kind of mementos from it. So.
And I got to give huge props to Peter Arquette and Ross Gundel. I mean, come on. Look at how many guests they got. And, they lined up the stars. Not everything can be perfect. Not like we all want it to be. You know what I mean?
Right. What kind of merchandise did they have there? Was it because I've been to Indianapolis recently, and almost 99% of it is like brand new stuff off Kiss Army Warehouse or Kiss Museum or something. It's like there weren't the last few years I've gone, there haven't been like the really cool collectibles and old vinyl and crap like that. What kind of stuff did they have for sale there?
All right, this was my other thing that I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say good or I wouldn't say bad. I'd say in between, depending on your age group. They're younger fans. I would say younger fans or whatever that looking for that. Want to say Spencer stuff in the '90s. Maybe they never got a chance to get it. There is a lot of that. That's that takes basically taking over. Was barely any '70s stuff there. Where I've said it a bunch of times too, and my friends agree with me and stuff. Most of the Kiss fans are in their age where they're in their like mid-30s to, whatever they are, 60, 70. We're hoarding everything basically, and we're not dying. And we're not dying. So we basically have everything. Well, we are. We have these stuff in our collections, and we're not getting rid of it because we either love it or somebody wants to think they want to sell it for $1 million in 20 years from now when they go to retire. But Ross, buys up collections, when he can from here and there and everybody else. So, once in a while, he's got stuff that he's got a bunch of stuff that is not the Spencer stuff. So he's really the guy you got to kind of, when you first go into one of those expos where Ross is, or when he has those, the marts for the day, he calls them Kiss Marts. It's like the thing for a day and you go in here for free and you just, you got to go to him really if you're looking for something more unique or maybe older or something that you never seen before because he buys up collections and he maybe stays sub-star himself and then he sells whatever he doesn't want or a better copy or something else. But usually Ross is the guy who has the main stuff. Yeah,
I seem to recall on one of the Facebook groups that someone picked up a copy of The Greatest Kiss exclusive LP for $50 at the Expo.
What?
Yeah, and if that's accurate, that's a pant wetting experience because I paid $450 for mine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
they were selling the Kiss Army Warehouse was there. They were selling Sonic Boom, which I guess people are like looking for.
Yeah,
they were selling for $100.
That's a good price as well.
That's actually a pretty good deal.
Yeah,
and that's what I. Yeah, and that's what I could hear, and that was a good deal. But I couldn't see myself opening my wallet and my credit card to dish out $100 for Sonic Boom. Sorry, I can't see it.
Yeah,
Nope.
that sort of thing all comes down to the collector. I would love. I got one. I think it's Paul Purple, and I bought it sealed, and I opened it up, of course, and it had shaken around inside, so the inner dust sleeve was split on the sides, like so many are. I just bought a sealed copy of the 85 Creatures as well, and opened it up, and boom, same thing. It's heartbreaking, but $100, I would have dropped that in a minute for the black vinyl of Sonic Boom. I don't want another one of the colored ones.
I think it was the black one. Pretty sure it was the black.
Yeah, that's it. Let's get on to some of these other guests. Mark Montague, of course, he has his book finally out. And again, I can't find where you can buy Cat Out of the Bag except for on eBay. And it's pretty thin, but it's got a lot of really cool stories, not least... He quotes my review of One of a Kind, which came out donkeys years ago. But it's a really good little book about his time with Peter Criss. How was he as a speaker? If either of you called him, Michael, and if you remember him speaking.
Yeah, I don't remember him speaking, but I did listen to him on Three Sides of the Coin recently, and I went up to him to introduce myself, and he gave me a copy of his book. I'm going to read it and review it. Because at first, when I first heard about him, prior to listening to the Three Sides interview, I wasn't too enthused about what the book would be about. But then I heard him speak, and I realized this is actually kind of an interesting, niche of history that other people don't necessarily have, that information. So I actually really look forward to reading his book because he, when I heard him talk about some of the stories that are in it and just working with Peter on, his most recent solo album, which is abysmal, and also being in Criss, I think that should be really interesting to read. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm actually happy it's not too long because sometimes books that are autobiographical in nature spend way too much time on stupid stuff like I grew up on a farm and my dad was a plumber and no one cares. Just get to the meat. I just bought Bryan Cranston's autobiography and the first chapter is about Breaking Bad. I'm like, that's right. That's what you start with. You start with what people want to read about.
Nobody cares about what you did when you were in 7th grade.
Yeah, unless you were really
an amazing... Hey, don't say that, Lonnie. You'd love that if you knew everything about Paul Stanley when he was a child.
No, I will say with the exception of Paul Stanley's book, actually, Paul's book was very interesting from the get-go.
Gotcha.
I know I can't say anything bad about Paul Stanley, but some of these books, I was like, oh my god, I don't care. Anyway, I'm going to shut up so I don't go off on a tangent.
Yeah, I think he was a cool guest and real nice guy. I mean, really, really nice. He's happy to be there. Some people were knocking him because they're like, because they didn't understand what his role was working with Peter. They didn't realize just how close he was.
Oh, wow. That's just, inexcusable in a certain kind of way. I mean, they should have, Mark Montague ex Criss, just to give people a little bit of a hint, because obviously it's 20 years ago now since Criss bit the bullet, and they should have that One of a Kind CD, or maybe even the Scuff, the second Criss album demos playing, because all that's some pretty cool shit. So, who the hell is Johnny Potenza? He's on the line as a guest, right, with Mark, and I have no idea who he is.
Who is that?
Julian, you got crickets on that one. I was just going to say.
All right, moving right along to Robert Fleischman, who I would love to get on the show as well for a Vinny-related episode. How was he? Because, he's continued to make music and anything of interest. Andy, you want to say anything on him, or were you still waiting for your sandwich at that point?
Well, yeah. I actually missed him up on the thing talking, but I actually went up to him at the table and talked to him. And he's very nice, very quiet. He almost seems shy. That's why my interpretive, because I'm so shy. So, you know how that works.
So you two hit it off real quick then, yeah.
No, he just, Ian was his helper that day, but he was very nice, talked for a few minutes. He only had a couple things to sell. And I kicked myself for not bringing my Vinnie Vincent album to have him sign. That was my shot in the head kind of moment, because that was, stupid. But I missed. I had to go back online. Like I said, I had to go back online and on YouTube it. Actually, I did it today and watches it much thing because I missed it. I was probably in the line either getting Eric's, probably standing getting Eric's signature at the time. Kind of a bummer.
One of the things that's not on the list, obviously, was the podcasts that were in the house. Matt Porter and the Kiss Room were in the house. I think they've already put their episode up, and Three Sides of the Coin were doing something. Mike, you want to tell us a little bit about interaction with the other podcasts? Because these guys will have shows, and it's always cool to spread the word about each other.
Yeah, absolutely. So Matt Porter was doing 3 hours plus of the Kiss Room. I just listened to the episode. Actually, I listened to it over a few days because it was so damn long. And I was like, when do I come in? Because I was like listening for myself. And I was the last 20 minutes of the show. I'm like, whoa, good thing I went up when I did because I wouldn't have been on it. So, I went up and basically Matt just kept having people come up, even Robert Fleischman. And they would just, he was just talking about what was going on, and people would say, Matt would say, like, are you going on the cruise or this or that? He even got me to sing a little because he's like, oh, what songs would you like to hear on the cruise? And I said, it's my life, so I sang a little bit of that. And Anthony Lauro was next to me, and he sang a little bit too. So it was fun. It was a good time. Matt's always like, just a super positive guy. So I was like seeing him and spending time with him. So that was awesome. And then I went over to the Three Sides table, and I actually spent a good deal of time talking to Mark Cicchini. I talked to him in front of the table, and then when I went to get something to eat, he came in and we started chatting. And he's I really enjoy getting to know him. He's just a phenomenal person and just terrific. And then I talked to Tommy Summers for a while about Dennis DeYoung and a bunch of music and stuff, and talked to Michael briefly and got photos with all of them. And then they basically, originally they were going to record, but what they decided to do instead, just to make it easier, was they had like an iPad set up and they had like a microphone, and they had people basically recording a message saying like, congratulations on your 200th episode, blah, 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 whatever you want. And then they were going to edit it together and incorporate it into their episode. I guess they'll probably just like, pepper them throughout the episode. So, it's pretty cool to say that I was part of a live Kiss Room episode, and that I contributed to the 200th episode of Three Sides. So I think for being a fan, it's kind of a cool thing to be part of, and just to see them side by side, and in between them is like Robert Fleischman. It's just kind of a surreal experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, congratulations on your 200th episode, Three Sides of the Coin. It takes a special sort of crazy group of people to do that many episodes, and we're not even halfway there. Andy.
Yeah, definitely Matt Porter, man. He's off the hook, that guy. I mean, when we walked in, he was up and running. Basically, the whole time I was in that room. Every time you walk out or we walk out, they had the mics on. He had some friends behind him. They not only just recording, they had microphones set up everywhere, so you could have like 3 or 4 people at the same time talking. They had their friends going live and stuff at the same time. So, like, I had brought my my casket piece to get the back sign for some people, and I pulled it out.
Of course.
I'm like, hey, here it is, And they're like, yeah, show it. I'm like, Matt, here you go. And he's like, you really brought it with you again? I'm like, yeah, of course, So, yeah, Matt was, he's like, yeah. So they were all in. I mean, Matt in the Kiss Room were all in that whole day. They were all in. But the Three Sides of the Coin, when I saw them and stuff, they weren't really, at the time I was there, they weren't doing any episodes. So they might have, like Mike said, they might have been doing clips later. But I had talked to Mark, a couple times about how Vinnie Vincent's, saved Kiss from 1982 to 1984. Yeah, people laugh about it, but it's true because let's face the facts, man. They still play "Lick It Up," the biggest hit song they've ever done in the 80s. And guess who wrote it? Vinnie. And they also play War Machine. Vinnie. So get over it, people. Vinnie did save Kiss from 82 to 84. Thank you.
You have to get the shirt that says Vinnie saved Kiss. Wear that on the cruise.
No. Vinnie's mannequin saved Kiss.
I know people love him or hate him. It is what it is. But let's face it, he did write some of the killer songs for them. But Matt was fully in, man, fully in. It was just funny, It was like this, but going on for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, and I mean that's got to be some sort of an award. Lonnie, what do you think? Would you be crazy enough to do a live broadcast of a podcast episode from a Kiss Expo? I mean, props to Matt Porter in the Kiss Room for bringing it. That is just mad and cool.
Yeah. Oh well, that we could actually pull that off. We got enough characters that have rotated on and off the show that, that if we were to do it at Indianapolis, and if I wanted to go get a sandwich and be gone for an hour and a half, I could still come back, and you guys could just pass the mic around with different FAQ podcasters that have been on the show. That'd actually be a fun thing to do.
That could be awesome.
We could rope Julian to come into the Midwest.
I've been
I'd happily go again.
Trying to rope me to come to Indy for years. I just won't do it because I don't know. They always say it's much small. I know. Like Lonnie said, they had Paul and Gene that one year. That would have been the year to go.
Yeah, it was badass.
But with it being Indy, you just never know who Keith is able to get, and I guess the other guys who do organize it, because it's not all one person. So moving down, Tim Sullivan. That's a name from the past, the 90s. Who is he? And how was it?
I didn't even know he was there.
Man, your sandwich must
have
been
been
a long time. Yeah.
Probably.
Well, he was the producer for Detroit Rock City, and it was interesting to hear him talk, and I love that movie. I think it's terrific, and it's underrated. It was interesting.
More movies like that.
What's that? Yeah, but no, it was good. I mean, I've heard a lot about Detroit Rock City, and he did talk about why did it not do as well as it should have done, things like that. So I only caught like the tail end of his Q&A, but he seemed like a nice guy. He was signing Blu-ray copies of the movie that was for sale there. So it was a nice addition. I mean, I think a lot of fans like that film. Was it Bob Trotter? He was saying that he watches the movie twice a week, every week. I'm like, wow, that's
dedication.
Yes.
That's the definition of insanity. But, to
watch Phantom of the Park 3 times a week.
Hey, to each their own. TV really is that bad these days, so I'm not going to knock him too much.
Got some good one-liners in there.
Oh yeah, it's a good time.
Let's move on to Lydia. Andy, were you there for Lydia?
Yeah, I was there for Lydia, and Lydia's actually coming down to the Holiday Inn again for her 4th year in a row. She's always a sweetheart, a number one. Yeah, she was late to the expo, but she's always gracious, humble. Go over and give you a hug, give you a kiss on the cheek, take pictures with you, sign stuff, and talk stories. She's got a zillion stories, and her book is just her book to me is like the number one book. I don't diss any other books, but her book is still to me the number one book. She doesn't diss anybody. She just shows the pictures and tells the stories. You know what I mean? I mean, she was there. You know what I mean? Those early years.
I had my copy of Seal with a Kiss out yesterday, and it still is just a fantastic piece of work. So even all these years on, it's great that Lydia's part of the scene, and she's got the stories because she was there from day freaking one, and it no matter what anyone else does writing stuff, she was there. It's first person account when you're talking to her. Michael, your thoughts on Lydia?
Yeah, I met Lydia at the last convention or expo, and she's very nice. And this time I just got another photo with her. Oh, and I did see her at Live 75. They were at the Montgomery County Community College. Matt had them there. J.R. Smalling was there, and so was Lydia. So I've met her. I guess this is the 3rd time. And I did see part of her Q&A, and I remember one of the lines she said, and she said this before, and it's pretty funny, is that she said, Gigi, Peter's wife, has never been bad to me. And she said, but then again, I've never heard anyone say anything nice about her. And she, I did meet Gigi once. So I could understand why she may say that. But no, Lydia's terrific. Everyone, loved her, and I thought it was cool seeing her interact with Bill Aucoin's family. There was an older woman there who I think it was Bill's sister. So it was interesting to see them kind of like see each other for the first time in who knows how many years, and just kind of interact. And I thought that was pretty cool because I was kind of right in front of her when that happened. So Lydia's always a great addition. Everyone likes her. She's just a nice person, so no bad things to say about her.
And Mark Britton showed up too.
Who?
Mark Britton. He is the. I'm going to screw this up, and then I'm going to hear about it later, like we always do. He is Bill Aucoin's nephew, and he was there back in the days too. As a kid, there's pictures of him and a lot of pictures and stuff, and he was there. He always jumps up with Lydia and talks about stuff from his days with her. So it's always kind of cool. Like I said, you never know who's going to pop in.
No, and that's awesome. I just do want to say something in defense of Gigi, that in my dealings with her, she has always been wonderful.
That's good.
Yep. Just counter. I got to counterbalance that perspective, because otherwise I'll get shot.
No, I've talked to her
right.
a couple times, and I didn't have any problem with Gigi either. I know there's been a war of words before between a couple people with that, but hey.
Yep.
Well,
all right, so let's talk about some of that, what you'd call the high points. I mean, you've both already mentioned, Eric and Bruce, and to be perfectly honest, I don't think there's any point rehashing what they say up on stage, except for maybe Eric. Did he have anything interesting to share in his Q&A?
Michael, you had a nice question for him.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm going to go back to Michael on that one.
Yeah, so I was sitting in the audience, and I wasn't going to ask him anything. And then I was sitting next to Becca Jadowski, and she said, how about you go up and ask him a question about the makeup on the cruise? And I'm like, that's a good idea, because everyone keeps speculating about it. I'll go up there and I'll ask. So I go up there, and I go to introduce myself, and Eric already knew my name, because I just assumed that no celebrity remembers me, even if they just met me like a couple hours ago. So I'm like, hey, Eric, it's Michael. And he's like, hi, Michael, how are you doing? He's like, oh, okay. And went into my question, and I said to him, what makeup are you and Tommy going to be wearing on the cruise? Because it's Creatures of the Night. And he's like, I think everyone knows what we're going to be wearing. And I'm like, which is, and he said, we're going to be wearing the makeup that we wear. And I kept pushing. I'm like, but why? And I was like, it's understandable that people might think that you'd wear, other makeup. And he was very adamant about it, that he was not going to be wearing another character's makeup. And I think for him, he didn't really say it, but it was kind of like the subtext is that, he's committed to this character and that he doesn't want to be switching between characters, because to him, I feel like that would be going against whatever, feelings he has about the makeup. So even though he's kind of inhabiting a character that he didn't necessarily create, I feel like he doesn't want to do that multiple times and be like switching back and forth and all that stuff. And same thing with Tommy, because then I feel like he thinks it'll kind of take away from the credibility that they do have. So I can respect that. And then someone yelled out from the crowd while I was still filming, well, what about Ace coming back to the band in 2017? And he responded to that and basically said, like, that's bullshit. It's just not going to happen. And that, we're doing our thing, he's doing his thing, and there is absolutely no basis for that rumor. It's just completely untrue. And Eric is not one to sugarcoat or be political. So I mean, if he said it, it's true. Ace isn't coming back, and so that was nice too. So he kind of put two things to rest with his answers. So I kind of got like a 2-for-1 in the process.
No, that's really cool.
Good
question.
But if you listen to the rest of what he said, he turned around and said it's Gene and Paul's boat. They run the show. And Eric said he admitted that, I've been in Kiss, 3 times, in, out, in and out, in and out. He goes, you can never say never. That was Eric's own words. So, they could turn around and say tomorrow, you know what, we do want Ace back in at some point, or tomorrow, or next week, or 2 years from now. So Eric was, Eric answered it that way too at the same time, So, and I asked the question on the cruise too about. Hopefully I can even remember what I asked. Jeez, I'm terrible. I wasn't feeling too good by then again. What did I ask him? Oh my God, that's pretty bad. Oh, I think I asked him about. There's been on the 6 Man, it says the official said they were going to play the Creatures of the Night tour. Basically, that's tour list. Now, Genius now come out and said about 2 or 3 times now that they're going to play the full Creatures album.
No, they're not. No way.
No
way.
All right.
Paul is not going to sing "Keep Me Coming."
There's too much Paul on that album.
Yeah.
But I still love you. I mean, no way.
No, that would just be. He might as well just swallow a jar full of razor blades and just be done with it if he's going to try and do any of those. Or maybe they've got a way around it. Who knows? I mean, it is Kiss. The impossible is possible when it comes to this band. So I look forward to the reports from the boat of how they do pull this off. And if they do simply do the Creature set, then Rock and Roll Hell do the first set. But leave out Keep Me Coming because it didn't work live the first time around. It's not going to work out any better 34 years later. So I want to get into some of the stuff that you think is missing from an expo. And obviously this was a pretty packed day. Lonnie, I want to go to you first. Of what you really want to see in an expo that we haven't really seen in this one.
The one thing obviously that's missing from the expo you guys are talking about from New York, obviously, and we touched on it, is live music and a Kiss tribute band. I think that really having a good Kiss tribute band at the end really puts a nice cap on the day to see, especially a good tribute band, because we've seen different versions of Kiss tribute bands, but a good Kiss tribute band at the end that looks the part and sounds the part really is a nice cap on the end of the day. But as far as expos in general go, I think what's missing, and we touched on this briefly too, is the last few that I've gone to has just been like new Kiss merchandise, and I'm not even talking like Spencer's crap Kiss merchandise from the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm talking like 2013, 2014 type merchandise that I could go on Kiss Army Warehouse or Kiss Museum and buy right now that is listed in their new column. It's like, and I don't have a problem with that being there, but like in Indianapolis, the last few times I've been there, it's been nothing but that kind of stuff. Like no vinyl, the dealers just aren't there anymore. And yeah, eBay is to blame for that, and different vinyl trading sites are to blame for that as well. But for me, when I first started going to the expos, that was always a big thing. Is I'd save up a wad of cash to go because I knew I was just be throwing cash around all day long buying up crap. So to me, that's one thing that's really missing. And again, the other thing that's missing, I guess, is Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. And I know that's asking for a lot, and you're probably going to be asking to raise the price of admission to get either one of them there. But that would obviously that would put things over the top. And especially for an official Kiss Expo, you're probably not going to get an Ace Frehley or a Peter Criss to come in. Your best bet to meet one of them is either do a meet and greet at an Ace show or get them at one of those horror convention shows that they do from time to time. But Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, I mean, even if they don't, when Paul was at the indie show, he didn't sign autographs, but you get your picture taken with him if you bought a copy of the book. Yeah. And that's still cool. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was a signed copy of the book. And that's still cool, and I understand why he didn't want to do autographs, and he can't make exceptions because once he starts making exceptions, well, then it's over. Yeah. So, like, even when I met Paul at that Indie Expo, I had some stuff in my hand, and when you're getting ready to go meet him, one of his handlers goes, "Oh, you want me to hold your stuff while you go meet Paul?" And then get your stuff out of your hand. You get done meeting Paul. Okay, here's your stuff back. So,
and that's the only way he can do it. I mean,
Paul's not the bad guy, and doesn't have to say no. That way, he's not the bad guy. The guy that's his handler is the bad guy. He takes the stuff out of your hands. Paul doesn't have to say no to you. Mm-hmm. So. Anyway, that's what I would like to see. That's what I really want at Kiss Expos, though, is a great tribute band, more rare Kiss merchandise or more obscure Kiss merchandise, or just vinyl in general, not the latest and greatest Kiss merchandise. And Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
Yeah, you're an easy man to please,
I'm overshooting there.
Yeah, just you got to reach for the stars. Simple as that.
Hey,
I saw some pictures of the dealer tables on this one, and I got to say the pictures that I saw had plenty of classic vinyl, cassettes, A really good mix, 45s, posters, magazines, and a lot of it was vintage. So this one, from my perspective, and that was just like maybe the 4 tables that I saw, had a good mix of that stuff. Paul Stanley, I think, is one that you really want to get. And, the way I'd kind of do it is, you buy a ticket, you get a mail-in or email form, for a question, and they take their questions, and just like they did at the JCC for his speaking tour, when he published his book, someone sits down with him and basically goes through a few of their own questions, but then, cherry picks the best ones, so it doesn't end up being like another one of these Paul Speaks things, which is just people asking the same lame questions. I want to, get inside his head. I want to ask him stuff that he hasn't been asked before. Strictly because I think you'll get a better response, or he'll hate your guts. One or the other. It's going to be good or it's going to be horrible. If you go way out of kind of bounds, you're not going to go real personal with him, but try and get into his head where he hasn't gone before with people and make it fresh for him. But it could be a really cool thing particularly to get Paul, because obviously Gene has he's at an expo right now in Japan. So, there are options for different guests, but I think there's also Ron Nevison. Get some of these producers. I mean, no one's going to get Michael James Jackson.
No. Bob Ezrin would be amazing. You get someone like that. But
I mean,
you wouldn't get Mark there if you got Bob Ezrin there.
Well, Peter did show up like 4 years ago at an expo, but he had like his own special ticket thing.
Yeah, he charged a fortune, from what I understand.
I went to the expo. I didn't have to do that because I had already met Peter before that, so I didn't do that one. But that was like a separate thing. But I could agree with Lonnie on this. I would love to see more old vintage stuff, a tribute band, or even 2 tribute bands, or if some of the guests would like to play, even if it's not, because they actually had an expo at the same venue years ago, and the tribute band actually played across the street because I was actually involved with the tribute band to help them lug this stuff over there from They were from Massachusetts, and they played like across the street. So in that place, so if they could find magically they could, even if a tribute band decided to play at a bar somewhere on their own, at least people would know about it, kind of connect it, even if it wasn't really connected with the expo itself.
Yeah, kind of go there for the after party.
Yeah, or the night before, they've got a little theater or dive club that you go see a Kiss tribute band in a club, and then the next day you got the expo. I mean, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And the other 2 guests that, my personal thing would, and it's going to draw, is Ace Frehley, and the ultimate one, because he's so mysterious, and people either love him or hate him, is Vinny. Is somehow, man, Vinny came out of the woodworks through an expo.
Oh, yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. People would flock to it because how many people are missing Vinny signed on a bunch of stuff they have everybody else signed on?
Well, he could use the money. He should be doing expos left and right.
Wow, it's a shot at Vinny's finances from out of nowhere.
I think people are more likely to walk on water before Vinny shows up at the Kiss Expo.
And to have say like I understand that these expos are very hard to put on. It's a lot of money. Those guys got to dish out front. So the people complain that they're the last minute or they only give a month's warning. If it's possible, it would be nice to have like a 4 or 5 or 6 months notice that this expo is going to happen. So some of us that spend that kind of money buying stuff can kind of save up, get ready, save some vacation time for it, make it a whole long weekend maybe or something. I don't know, but I understand how difficult it is just to put on. I mean, I just do the gathering or the Holiday Inn thing in one night, and I'll tell you, it's a lot of work just doing that. And it's, and those guys, man, that's why I said, you got to bow to Ross and Peter Arquette for sure.
Oh,
and Phil.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. And anybody who tries to put on an indie expo, I mean an indie one or, look at how many expos now that don't happen anymore. Those people probably got burnt out, or it's a lot of money to get somebody there.
Yeah. Or they got burned financially doing it because they didn't turn a profit on it.
I think the reason why New Jersey ends up doing good because you're in that metropolitan where a lot of those people live. New York, New Jersey, in that area.
Don't get me started. It's East Coast,
Yes.
East Coast bias crap.
Yeah, it's where it was. So it's good that it's still doing well. I want to wrap up on a high point here, and the question's going to be, what's your high point from the New York Kiss Expo 2016? And before we go to you guys, Lonnie, what's your favorite Expo memory?
I got a few, and probably it probably involves Eric Singer before he rejoined Kiss in 2008. Before he rejoined, I didn't say rejoined Kiss in 2008. Kind of like when Kiss was like in those down years, 2005, 2006, 2007, they really weren't doing a whole lot. And Eric was touring with Alice at the time, and I stalked Eric out at a couple Alice shows, and he signed my leg when I met him the one time. And there was one year that I met him like half a dozen times, it seemed like, and he started to get to know me. He knew who I was when he'd see me. He talked to me. He came with Alice one year, and I was with a friend of mine, and she always thought Eric Singer hated her for whatever reason. And she wore this shirt to the Alice show, and it had Eric. You've probably seen this picture online. It has Eric in the makeup, and he has boxer shorts on and nothing else. And she had this shirt on. It had that picture of Eric on it. It said, "Eric Singer hates me." And she wore it around all day. And Eric saw her. He's like, "Who is this girl? I don't hate anybody." And he goes, "I don't know where she gets off thinking I hate her and walk around with this shirt saying I hate her." So Eric signed my leg at that Alice show, and then I met him in Indianapolis the following spring, and I had a picture of him signing my leg. And he goes, "Oh, I remember this. This is where that girl was with that shirt on that day." And then the next picture underneath that 8x10 was just a picture of her in that shirt. And I go, "This girl?" He goes, "That's her." So he takes a pen and he goes, "Yes, I do." Eric Singer. He goes, "Get that to her."
That's awesome.
Classic.
And so he's just a great guy and has a great personality, and Eric just gets it. You know what I mean? Because he's a fan too. At the end of the day, so he's just a great guy. And as much as I said I would love Paul Stanley to be at an expo, Eric's just a fantastic human being and a greatest addition to Kiss I could have ever gotten. So
that's nice.
That's my favorite.
That's a great story too. Okay, Andy, high point 2016 Expo.
Oh, it's got to be the 2016. I thought you just meant all expos in general.
You got one you got one better than this recent Expo? Go for it, man.
Yeah, well, I have to say my greatest moment was when Eric Carr showed up at the Providence, Rhode Island one out of the blue. There were rumors that he was going to show up. Nobody kind of knew. They just kind of there were rumors going around, floating around. And next thing you know, there's this little guy with a big hair, this big, strolls running saying hi to everybody, da-da-da. And next thing you know, he goes in the middle of the tables and puts a couple tables around him to kind of, so people just don't crush him. And he just stood there and basically signed autographs all day long, So I had him sign stuff, and he was just really, and his Rockheads hadn't even come out yet. And I was like, "Hey, Eric, man, your little cartoon Rockheads is pretty cool." He goes, "Really? You like that? You didn't even know about that?" I go, "Eric, it's already starting to spread out." He goes, "Wow, thanks." I mean, I think Eric was the fan before he was even in the band, kind of in a way. Even though he said he wasn't a fan of Kiss, but I think like Bruce had said it once that Eric actually got Gene and Paul and him to be fans of the fans. Like Eric got it, So, and it was funny because Eric's signing left to right. He's walking around and people follow him and he's doing his thing. And he goes, "Oh, I'll be back." So he goes down to lunch with Karen and John Lazinski, who's the ones who used to put him on here in the New England area. And he goes to lunch and he comes back. He's got the sunglasses on because he had a little couple extra drinks in his system. And he was all giggly and happy all day long signing autographs. So that was like off the hook because he wasn't expected to come. So that was like the biggest thing, that ended up being really cool for not knowing that Eric was going to show. But for 2016, I still love meeting people that I've met before, catching up with people I haven't seen in years and stuff like that. That's a huge highlight, and the merchandise thing is always cool looking at who's got what, and I'm looking for that piece that I'm missing out of the puzzle, and my my stuff that I like to collect, So bacon and cheese. So that, those are big highlights. Not that I don't have any problem. I love all the guests and stuff, but like I said, I met a lot of the guests already before, so you know what I mean.
No, very cool, and I don't think you can ever go above that Eric Carr story. I mean, that's just because it's obviously never going to happen again, and that's just one from back in the day. Michael, how about you?
Well, the highlight for the weekend was probably interviewing Bruce on Friday, but at the expo itself, I've met Eric multiple times. I've stayed in contact with him. He's a great guy, and meeting Bruce for the first time is pretty cool too. But I have to go with what Andy said. For me, the best part was all the conversations I had with people, whether it was Mark Cicchini, Tommy Summers, or even people who I just met for the first time. Like I was just, people would just stop me mainly for the hoodie and say, "Oh, they're like that," and that would just lead to a discussion about God knows what. And I would just start talking to people, and before you know it, we're talking for like 10 minutes or more. And, so just all the new people that I met made it special. And it's the same thing with the cruise. The cruise is basically the expo just spread across 5 days with ongoing concerts. It's the same environment. And it's just cool because everyone's happy, right? It's not like you're on Facebook and people are like, Trump this, Clinton that. No. When you're at the expo, everyone's happy, everyone's smiling, everyone's having a good time. It's just a great, positive bubble that we're all in.
Wait, I got to interrupt you. Trump, Clinton, isn't that the same as Vinny saved Kiss? Vinny didn't save Kiss.
Right. You get the same bullshit.
I didn't actually see anyone argue. I mean, maybe they were, but it wasn't in front of me. So I have to say, people are more civil when they're facing each other because they can't hide behind their avatars and things like that.
Can't be keyboard warriors.
No keyboard gangsters.
Keyboard commandos.
Yeah, it was just a great feeling, and the day flew by because it was so much fun. So I really hope that they do this again next year. I know it was like 18 months between this one and the last one. I hope that's not the case the second time, next time, because they did a great job this year, and I hope it's just as good, if not better, next year.
Yeah, I'm hoping they do another one that I'm actually able to get out to because I'm really wanting to get back to the East Coast for a little visit to go to Binghamton, obviously where I grew up for a while, and possibly Scranton, just to go back to what was my neck of the woods, and then go hit a Kiss Expo and go find some record stores out and about in the area. Maybe even go to Boston again because I got into lots of trouble the last time I was there, and just would be fun to do again. So,
and we can do a live show. And I met Andy at this expo, which was a big deal for me. And I met his mother because she told me I should say hi.
You're an Andy lemming. I met Andy, which was a big deal.
and I have to say, he was subdued. He was not like full of energy because he was sick. But I was like, "You're really calm. What's going on?" Like I expected him to be like bursting out of his skin, but he was pretty relaxed, and it was because he wasn't feeling under the weather.
He was hungry. He was waiting for that sandwich.
Blood sugar was down.
Right.
Well, the other thing is that, I'm pretty much open and honest. You like it or you hate it. I've always gotten that. Either people don't understand me. It's either I'm straightforward. I get it off my chest, straightforward. And that's the way people should be. And I'm sorry. I get excited when for certain things, that whole ace thing, man. Whoop, it's like Lonnie. They say Paul Stanley. You see Lonnie's eyes? They go like this.
I'm actually. I'm looking on your website right now, Michael. That drum head looks absolutely fantastic. That's very cool. So, where's your interview with Bruce gonna show up?
So I'm probably going to transcribe that over the weekend, maybe, and get it up by next week. So once I do, obviously I'll share it. And you guys can check it out then. But I'd say look for it next week.
You do your own transcription?
Yeah, it takes forever.
I gave up. I started paying people to do it, which is why my bank account's in the red. I just could not handle transcribing. And then you get them back from them, and they've got all the ums, the hums, and the ooh, you then have to edit out, which is horrible. All right, let's wrap this episode up, people.
Andy and I are doing our own show over here.
So
They didn't have a visual. I'm mad.
So by all accounts, there's 2 positive votes for the Expo in New Jersey, New York. It's called both. I just always go New York first. I can't help myself. So it sounds like a good job was done by the Expo promoters, and a good time was had by all. So that's a positive one. Let's look forward to some reports from Tokyo or wherever the Japanese one was held. There's a lot of good stuff going on, and a lot of reasons to be positive about being a KISS fan at the moment. There's the cruise coming up. Things are happening. Things are interesting. So enjoy it while you can. So from Michael, from Lonnie, from Andy, and myself, thank you for listening. Catch us on Facebook. Find the thread in any of the places that you listen to the show, and chime in with your opinion if you went to the Expo. If you didn't go to this one, if you went to some other, give us your high points, your low points, and what do you think would make a great Expo in the future. We thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Thank you all. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.